If you swim badly or make any technical mistakes, you will only be training your own mistakes and generating bad habits. In this video, I will teach you the best training to improve your technique. It is the same training that my students use and the same training that I use. With this training, you will always come out of the water a better swimmer than you were going in. And best of all, you will learn to eliminate the vices generated by doing thousands of repetitions for a long time with a bad technique. Are you ready? I am Rafa Soriano, and this is Efficient Swimming. Hello swimmers. When we swim, most of the time we are not aware of what is happening to us, simply because we don't see ourselves when we swim. It's not like in fitness where you perform a bad exercise and you can see it in front of a mirror to rectify it. Water is an unstable medium that generates a lot of imbalance for swimmers, and a simple mistake can generate a chain of errors. And it is very easy to fall into the trap because most of these mistakes are instinctive reactions to compensate for a lack of technique. They are reactions that facilitate some movement, even if this movement is not the right one to swim better. I'm going to give you some examples of how a simple mistake can trigger a series of serious failures in your technique. Now we will see how one mistake leads to a series of errors. For example, this swimmer, because of her anxiety about lifting her head and breathing, the first thing she does is sacrifice her grip to lift her head to breathe. And by having her head raised very high, her entry is a dirty entry. It is an entry that looks for a support in the water to be able to hold this head out of the water as long as possible. And by having these arms always on the surface, her legs are also more sunken and her body is suffering much more resistance from the water, because if the entry was a little more submerged, her legs would be closer to the surface. This swimmer now has most of the problems solved or almost solved, and we can already see a much cleaner and more efficient swim. This other swimmer also, because of an error, makes a series of mistakes. Let's see, he lacks body rotation. He is a swimmer who does not rotate his body, and by not rotating his body, his elbow, his arm, that has to do the recovery, goes up, and finds a joint blockage in the shoulder and a cross entry. Notice that here, one of the things he does, because of the lack of rotation, is not complete his grip. His arm does not reach the end because it is not rotated. And as he needs to rotate to breathe or to recover, his arm first thing he does is go up, and when he goes up, his shoulder is blocked, and now he will have a cross entry because of this movement, an arm that goes inwards. Here we can see it too, how he doesn't complete his grip, how he goes up, how this part of the arm, from arm to elbow, is kind of blocked, and he can only advance the forearm, and a very obvious cross entry from this angle, and we can see from a front view too, how his arms cross in front like quad foot. Well, many more mistakes, and look at this same swimmer just a few minutes after his first lesson, when he already has the correct patterns, a more submerged entry, the body much more horizontal, a cleaner arm movement, a cleaner entry, strokes that are much more completed to the end. Notice that with just a few details, a better head position, he totally changes his way of swimming. For this reason, recordings and video analysis to explain biomechanics are fundamental in my work. In this way, my students are more aware of what is correct and what is not, and can act in time before turning thousands of wrong repetitions into vices that are difficult to eliminate. There are two ways to fix these mistakes. The first is to perform the correct technical exercises for each situation, as we have seen in previous videos. And the second we will see now, but first I need your collaboration by leaving your like. With this simple gesture, you will help me to continue creating content of the highest value for you. The second way to do this is to use focal points, or as I like to call them, the focal points of attention. In swimming, focal points are specific aspects that a swimmer needs to concentrate on to improve their swimming technique and performance. For example, for a swimmer, maintaining a horizontal body alignment in the water is essential. A focal point might be to keep the head in line with the spine to avoid raising it too high. To avoid performing windmill strokes or raising the arm too much, another focal point could be to brush the fingertips in the water while recovering. A swimmer who glides efficiently through the water always keeps one arm extended in front of his or her body, ready for the other hand to enter and begin the grab. We call this maintaining the front quadrant, and this is one of the focuses of attention that helps me the most to improve my students' efficiency. Each focus of attention is like an exercise that solves a specific problem, but you have to know how to use them to make them work, and this is what we will see now. When we are learning or when we are perfecting our technique, it is normal for us to focus on fixing many mistakes at once. But according to scientific studies, we can think of more than 3 focuses of attention at a time. So I'll show you a definitive structure so you can set up your own swimming technique workouts. Here is the structure we are going to use for our training. For example, we're going to choose 3 foci of attention. We're going to use the ones we've seen before. Focus A will be to keep the head aligned with the spine. Focus B will be to brush the toes in the water as we recover, and focus C will be to maintain the front quadrant as we swim. So we have 3 focuses, and in this example, we're going to swim 14 sets of 50 meters. And we're going to do 2 sets of 50 thinking about focus A only, 2 sets of 50 thinking about focus B only, 2 sets of 50 thinking about focus C only. Then we add the 50A plus B, 2 sets of 50B plus C, 2 sets of 50C plus A, and at the end, 2 sets of 50 thinking about the 3 foci. At the end, we have a 700-meter workout. If we repeat it twice, we will have a 1,400-meter workout. A good workout where you go into the water with 3 problems, work the 3 problems, and come out of the water with the 3 problems improved or solved. Every time you go in the pool, you can use different focuses. I always recommend choosing an easy focus, a medium focus, and a difficult focus, because if all 3 are too difficult, the assimilation capacity is more complicated. The size of the series and the volume can be modified according to your needs. If you need more time to memorize, instead of doing sets of 50 meters, you can do sets of 100 meters, or instead of doing 2 sets of 50 meters, you could do 4 sets of 50 meters. This will depend on your level and your ability to assimilate the new movements. Focuses of attention can be used not only when swimming, but also in the exercises. For example, if you do the Superman exercise, you can concentrate on keeping chest pressure in the water so that your legs don't sink. And then when you swim, you can focus on the same thing, keeping your chest pressure in the water while swimming so your legs don't sink. You can also create your own focuses. Years ago, I had a student who played professional ping pong when she was young, and she didn't understand the recovery stroke. She always carried her arm behind her body while I explained to her that the stroke was on the outside of her body. Then I came up with the idea of telling her to hit the ping pong ball with her elbow, thus solving the problem of the recovery that came from above her body, and in the end she managed to hit the ball and enter the water. Hit the ball with her elbow and enter the water. These focuses of attention are used to perform the same movement. You can visualize and create the one that helps you the most. For those of you who have made it this far, You can download a list with many focus of attention that I like and that work the most to improve the technique of my students. I will leave the download link here and in the video description. In 1 hour, a conventional swimmer can repeat an incorrect stroke approximately 2,500 times. Assuming that this swimmer goes 3 days a week to swim, we are talking about 7,500 repetitions of the same error, and this is how a bad gesture becomes a vice difficult to eliminate. To explain how important this training is, I always like to make an analogy between learning to drive and learning to swim. When swimmers start to become aware of what is right and what is wrong, they become very intense, and that tension mitigates their learning. The same thing happens when we are learning to drive. We have to coordinate many things at the same time. The brake, the clutch, the accelerator, the gears of the car, the lights, the pedestrians, the signals. All this generates a lot of tension. At first it feels like we are going to break the steering wheel of the car, but in a relatively short time, we manage to coordinate all these movements, and little by little we relax and start to coordinate even more things. We are able to touch the electronics of the car, the GPS, we increase our peripheral vision, we can anticipate movements of other cars, all this because there is a conscious practice. We learn to drive because we can't jump the rules, we can't crash the car, and that makes us able to automate in a very short time. In swimming, the same thing happens to us. At the beginning, it seems like a lot of things to sort out. Head position, arm position, body tilt, how the arm moves, how the hand comes in. All this generates a lot of tension, and we want to solve everything at once. We have to learn to prioritize and limit the amount of things we have to think about, and to swim concentrated until the technique becomes automatic. According to the latest studies from Cambridge University, to learn a new movement we need 21 days. To stabilize it, 90 days. And to make it automatic, we need 180 days. So more than the quantity of meters you do, the most important thing is the quality of what you do every time you go to the pool. Most people don't want to stop doing what they're doing. They don't want to stop swimming more so they can learn how to do things right. And in the end, they end up doing it because they get an injury, and they have to stop and really get better if they want to continue swimming. Most swimmers don't usually swim focused on improving their technique because they're not aware of their mistakes. They get in the pool to do lengths and more lengths thinking only about the number of meters or their speed, and they end up all stagnant and with many vices. But where these swimmers fail, you will be successful because once you forge a good technique, you will be able to swim the distance you want, and your speed will no longer have technical limitations. If you want to know how your technique is in a personalized way, the best is the video analysis service, where you send me a video, I analyze it, and I send it back to you with an edition explaining your strengths, weaknesses, mistakes. I make corrections, comparisons, I give examples, and besides, you have my personal guarantee that you only pay after receiving the video analysis and only if you like it and you are satisfied. So, if you are interested, leave in the comments, I want my video analysis, and I will contact you with more details. If you want to know more about efficient swimming, don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the little bell activated. See you in the comments and in the next video, because I will not rest until you are an efficient swimmer.